Welcome back to MVM. Today, we're going to take a look at this small box game called Auction Web. This game is about, of course, a web auction. You are going to be taking on the role of a company, basically, which is spending its Litcoin, which is a type of currency that this world uses. You're spending that currency to buy properties, and you're going to be competing with other players in order to do so. However, as the name would imply, this is an auction game. You're only going to win this property if you're the one that bets the highest. So the gameplay might seem a little simple here in that you're just basically auctioning for these cards, but there is so much going on beneath the surface and so many things that are contributing to your decisions about what to buy, how much to spend on it, and kind of when to go all in on a particular property. So before I get started, let me talk a little bit about what you have. Each player is going to have a set of cards that represents their company. I have Smile Cartel here. This is a group of Litcoin that's numbered 0 through 6. And you're going to have 2 of each of those. The 0, of course, is nothing, the 6 being the highest bid of Litcoin you can make. Yes, you do have a 0. Now, these currencies are going to be used in different ways. Yes, of course, to bid. On your turn, you'll play a card from your hand, of which you'll always have at least 5, but at most 7. And you'll get to just place that card face down on one of these properties that you want to buy. That's basically your turn. That represents your bid. Now, the decision and strategy that goes into that. A lot of these cards are low numbers. You might win the bid, or you might trick someone into thinking that you bid really high and force them to spend their higher cards. There's a whole mind game element to this auction of looking around at what other players might need and trying to guess maybe what they're going to spend. Because when another player comes and plays a card on that same property, they're going to look at those cards. If their card is higher, it's going to remain. And your lower card is going to go face up into your discard pile. You lost that bid. However, if I was to go make a bid somewhere where somebody already was, I would be the one to compare those cards. And if my bid was lower in that case, yes, I discard it, but then I get the ability of the card. So it's actually kind of advantageous at times to go to places with your low cards where you know you're probably not going to win the bid because you're going to trigger your special ability. So yes, it is possible to actually win these properties with a bid of 0 if you're the only one there, or if you won the tie and nobody ever came to surpass you. Play is just going to go around in a circle like that. Each player is going to take a turn placing one of their bid cards face down. And of course, I'll talk about why you want to do this here in a minute. And then, of course, with every player that comes in and compares, you're going to only choose one of those cards to stay, and the other one is going to go away. So like I said, you need to plan ahead. I might go in with a 1, really counting on this ability, and it turns out that they've played their 0, meaning my card actually remains. I don't get the ability for that 1, and somebody else is just going to come and kick that 1 out because it's useless. Now, these cards do a variety of different things. They'll allow you to manipulate the game state by switching Litcoin that are already out in play. You can look at face-down cards and see what they are before your next turn. You can look at other players' hands and you can see what's remaining in their hand. So triggering these powers is very useful. It's going to give you the edge when it comes to making these decisions. But let's talk about why you want to bid on these specific properties. Now, there are 3 rounds in the game, and each round is going to have a number of properties drawn from the deck based on the number of players. So you're never going to see all of the properties. The properties that aren't drawn into the row are just lost. After everyone goes through the first round, you'll move on to the second round properties, and then the third round. These properties are how you score points. Of course, each one of these properties is just going to give you points just for having it, and you'll see that printed at the top of the card. They also all have a type. You've got technology cards, landmark cards, and food cards. All 3 of these types of cards score in different ways, and you're benefited both from having a lot of one type and from spreading out and getting different types and causing them to trigger with each other, because that is really the core of the game. Is a lot of these cards have special conditions. Not only do you get the points for the card originally, you'll also get the points if you can trigger whatever's at the bottom of the card. In addition, some of these cards just give you instant abilities or effects when you take them. So as soon as at the end of the round, if you're the one with the highest bid, you'll take that card, and then you'll just get to trigger that ability. Some of these abilities can really change the game. They can allow you to replace other Litcoin cards. They can allow you to win the bid in different situations. They can allow you to switch cards that you have in play with cards that come out in the row. So there are just a variety of things that these cards can do. Not to mention there's a set collection aspect here as well. Landmark cards, for example, want you to have specific other cards. They want you to have those cards in front of you. So if you're going to go heavy on landmark cards, you need to get some other cards as well to fulfill those needs. If you get lucky, you'll get a bunch of landmark cards that fulfill the same requirements. However, if a player sees that you already have those requirements met, it's in their best interest to not let you win that landmark card. So they're going to be bidding heavily maybe on that card, trying to get that card away from you so you don't just get free points. And that is the guessing aspect of the game. That is the social element, where you are looking around at every other player's area where you can see all the property cards they have and trying to deny them points, because this game is just as much about trying to get the most points for yourself as it is trying to deny other players some really powerful cards. You could get into a situation where you look at the row and one player just has a bunch of cards out because their bids haven't been beat. You can't let someone walk away with 3 or 4 cards in one round. That's just ridiculous. So you're going to have to come in and do the best you can to beat them. Not only that, the discard piles of each player are public knowledge. So you can kind of see what a player has already played. You can know if both their 6s are in the discard pile, there's no way that that's a 6 out there. So if you play your 6, you're guaranteed to beat that card. So a lot of these things are going to come into play. You're going to be factoring in all of these decisions at once. So like I said in the beginning, it might seem really simple that you're just putting a card out, but you have so much to think about. Luckily, all of the cards and their powers are listed right here on this player aid, plus all of the different abilities for some of the buildings are listed here. You've got a ton of buildings. You've got a bunch of unique ones that all do different things. So there's just a lot of strategy in this really small box game. It doesn't take up a lot of space to play. I've got it kind of spread out here in front of me, but all you really need to have is that row of cards. Everybody else can just keep their own little player area. So that is Auction Web. Thank you for taking a look at this game with me today. It is coming to Kickstarter, so take a look at the Kickstarter page to see what the final components are going to look like. Even though this does look pretty close to being done, you'll see a lot of the final artwork, which kind of has that cartoony, playful feel to it that kind of brings this game together. But there might be more announced. You might have some stretch goals and things like that, so be sure to follow along with the campaign. Let me know in the comments below what you think of Auction Web. And as always, thank you for watching us here at MVM. And until I see you again, have fun at the table.
Congratulations, you got to the end of one of our videos. Now, if you want more practice, just click on the video over here. It's another video. You might not have seen it yet, so click on it. If you don't want to do that, at least click on the subscription button below. That always helps us. And if you want notifications, please ring that bell.